So Lamine Camara is Monaco's 21-year-old Senegalese central midfielder who they signed from relegated Ligue 1 side Metz for around £12 million last summer. Now in terms of the style of central midfielder that Ruben Amorim needs in his midfield double pivot, I think Camara is exactly that. A complete central midfielder, having the skill set of a ball winner, a deeper line playmaker and even a box-to-box central midfielder combined. What really impresses me about Camara is his passing. For Monaco he plays in a double pivot, usually in a 4-2-3-1. Where alongside Denis Zakaria, who's more of a keep it simple ball winner, Camara is the side's main source of ball progression, dropping deep to receive the ball and being very good at circulating the ball efficiently and keeping play moving. But unlike someone like Ederson, Camara is capable of using a disguised body shape alongside a crisp incisive pass to thread the ball through the centre of the pitch, and it's this specific attribute that is absolutely crucial to Amorim's possession system, and I'm going to explain why in just a minute, alongside showing you Camara's FB ref report. But before I carry on with the analysis, if you want to check out any cheap, good quality football jerseys, go over to dragonjersey.com. They sent me over one of their retro shirts, this Manchester United 2006-2007 long sleeved home shirt with Ronaldo 7 on the back, which may be my favourite jersey of all time, with Ronaldo's performance that season making it even more iconic. They've also got other retro and current season jerseys available, and depending on where you live you can get 7 to 12 day delivery time. If you use code Atlantis at checkout you will get a discount for a limited time, so I'll leave it linked in the description and in the comment section below. So when United have possession in the middle third, Amorim likes to use a 3-2-5 with an emphasis on playing through the centre, looking to thread passes between the lines of the opposition's defensive shape, and Camara is far superior than Ugarte at doing this, and the reason I'm mentioning Ugarte specifically is because United, even with the expected sales of Rashford, Antony, Højlund and Garnacho, are probably only going to be able to afford one premium central midfielder this summer, and as I've said in previous videos, that player for me would be Ederson at Atalanta. However, Ederson and Ugarte to me still has limitations in possession as a midfield double pivot. I think it could be perfect for big games where the opposition is dominating possession for large spells and United are forced to sit off, deep and compact in the middle third or even their own half. However, in possession, particularly when United are going to be the ones controlling possession in the game and looking to force the issue, I think Ederson needs a central midfield partner who specialises as a progressive passer, because whilst Ederson's progressive passing metrics in his FB ref report do look very impressive, between the 85th and 95th percentile for his progressive passes and his passes into the final third, and around the 80th for his others, from the eye test I would say that he doesn't quite have that Busquets-like ability to be able to work the ball between the lines of the opposition's defensive shape via threading passes using a disguised body shape, and specialises far more as a ball carrier. However, Lamine Camara on the other hand, just like Adam Wharton and Angelo Stiller, excels when it comes to shaping like he's going to play a pass wide of a player before at the last minute closing his hips on the ball and threading the pass on the inside between the lines. In short, Camara is someone who has the ability to control the game from deep, orchestrating when the ball needs to be circulated wide and when it needs that increase in tempo with a sharp pass through the centre. And even though statistically his progressive passing output isn't as high as Ederson's for most metrics, from the eye test you can see that he is far more of a deeper line playmaker, with Ederson being more of a box-to-box midfielder or a ball winner. But Camara is a central midfielder who is very creative from deeper positions, and his expected assists, XG assisted and key pass metrics ranking around the 90th percentile do showcase this ability, with his long passing as well being a key part of his game, as he's able to receive the ball in deeper areas and completely switch the attack with a lofted pass out to the flank. Whilst his long passing is good, I do think there are elements that he could improve, maybe being able to do some sharper switches of play with less loft and a bit more speed on the pass, but given his ability at the age of 21, I have no doubt that he can add this to his game over the coming years. Although it isn't just Camara's passing ability that leads me to rating him over Mendy or Angelo Stiller, a very much progressive passing specialist, what you'd categorise as deeper line playmakers, but defensively their ground coverage, pressing intensity and ball winning capabilities are substantially lower than their abilities in possession. But that's not the case with Camara, as out of possession he has the athleticism, tackling ability and the reading of the game to be able to excel in Amorim's midfield double pivot, when it comes to pushing out of the midfield line to apply pressure, or when moving across the pitch to engage an opposition player who is driving the attack forward with the ball. Camara has the acceleration over shorter distances to be able to eat up ground quickly, and when he then gets to the player with or receiving the ball, he's able to either put in a robust standing or sliding tackle in order to break up the play, or jump in front of the player to make an interception in order to win the ball back, usually high high up the pitch, and this is reflected in his FBref report as he ranks in the 89th percentile for his interceptions, as well as the 91st for his tackles and his interceptions combined. He isn't as high volume a tackler as Ugarte, who specialises when pushing out of the midfield line in order to apply pressure in the press, but I would say that he's better than either Mainu or Bruno Fernandes, largely due to his acceleration over shorter distances. Ball carrying wise he is okay, but this is the area of his game that he would need to improve on most. Though as his FBref report shows, he is better than Ugarte in this regard, and also being a lot more press resistant in deeper areas, being able to drop deep to receive a pass to feet, either from the fullback out wide, or the centre backs or goalkeeper inside of the box, and having the ability to twist and turn out of the pressure, or keep play moving with short sharp passes around the corner. And this is where Kamara would bring a significant improvement to United's midfield, as when it comes to the build-up phase, Kamara is levels above Ugarte. In the middle third, when passes are being played through the centre into the feet of United's central midfielders, under pressure immediately, Ugarte is rather stiff, often needing an extra touch which can lead to him losing the ball, whilst Kamara is fluid and efficient. And even though I don't think Kamara provides exactly the same sort of intensity in the press as Ugarte, he is still more than capable of functioning effectively in a midfield double pivot when pressing high, and is probably actually better on the recovery than Ugarte, being a bit quicker across the ground over medium to longer distances. Once you also factor in his progressive passing ability, his ability to dictate the tempo of play, long passing and his press resistance, it's pretty clear that Kamara is more of a complete central midfielder than Ugarte, and so therefore would be a better fit for Ruben Amorim's system. Ugarte is fine as a destructive ball winner who is limited to keeping play circulated in possession if he's used in a back four system, with two other technically superior central midfielders alongside him. But in a 3 or 5 at the back system, because you've got one less central midfielder, Ugarte's limitations in possession become a lot more apparent, and so that's why with Amorim religiously using the 3-4-3 with only two central midfielders, both players have to excel in possession. There isn't room for a central midfielder who is solely a destructive ball winner. My opinion is that Ederson is essentially an upgrade on Ugarte, and Kamara would be the upgrade on Casemiro. Ederson is quicker across the ground over shorter and longer distances than Ugarte. He may not be as front foot and intense in the press, but he is better on the recovery when racing back to halt attacks, and in possession he's far superior in almost every area. Casemiro, when he's on form, which only seems to be for about half the season, does have the creative passing that Amorim would need, as well as the robust tackling ability, but Kamara has that alongside being quicker across the ground, more athletic in general, greater press resistance, and overall is better suited to an aggressive pressing style. And so if I was in charge of Manchester United's transfers in the summer, if the budget necessitated it, which I think it probably will, and it was also possible to do, not only would I sell Casemiro, but I'd probably also sell Ugarte as well. Sell Casemiro for between 15 to 20 million to Saudi Arabia, get his massive wages off of the books, and then put that towards signing Kamara. But United, even with the sales of Garnacho and the others, likely aren't going to be able to afford two premium central midfielders unless one of Mainu or Ugarte is sold, and to me I'd rather sell Ugarte for around 35 million, which will allow us to break even on the books from what we currently owe on his transfer fee, and then use that money alongside whatever we get from selling Toby Collier, likely around £10 million, to sign Ederson for around 50, alongside either. Yes, Ugarte has been fairly good this season, but we've seen his limitations in possession, and long term I just don't think he's complete enough to play in the midfield double pivot in the 3-4-3, and considering he'd still be able to bring in a fair amount of money, to me it's a no-brainer. Sell Casemiro, Collier and Ugarte for around 60 to 65 million combined, and then sign Kamara and Ederson for between 85 to 95 million. To me that's a massive upgrade, and now you have a midfield double pivot where one specialises as a progressive carrier with the other specialising as a progressive passer. Both are quick across the ground, athletic, strong in the tackle, and are very good when it comes to reading the game and being able to jump out of the midfield in order to make an interception. And their age profiles are perfect as well. Kamara is 21 with Ederson. And if you do want to check out any cheap, good quality football jerseys, go over to dragonjersey.com. You can use code Atlantis at checkout for a 10% discount, so I'll leave it linked in the description and in the comment section below. Also, if you want to read any of my articles, you can get a 7-day free trial, or you can sign up to my in-game Instagram group chat, so I'll leave that linked on the end screen now as well.